Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the Forgotten Realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm there. Idle champions, you reset again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind Dale, head out to Choth or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the Forgotten Realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm there. Idle champions, you reset again. Idle champions.
When the music ends, that's my cue, I think. I think that's how this is supposed to work. Welcome, everybody, to another Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. I'm still Gaarawarr, by all accounts, and I am here today to talk about Idle Champions Presents, the live play show, and all of its in-game voting structure, and the champions that we'll be seeing appearing in it, and all the stuff that's going on alongside it. Because, yeah, why not? Why not? Some people have been confused about this stuff. We might as well talk about it. So we're going to do that. The way the tutorial show works, if you haven't been here before, is roughly the first hour or so. We talk about the topic directly, and then the second hour we do the Q&A. So if you do have questions, you can throw them in the chat. And today Mars will be helping you out with that, putting those in the document. And then when we get to that, I will answer on-topic questions first, and then we'll double back and touch on everything else. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Did I turn everything on? Yeah, I did. Hey, go me. All right. So on screen, you'll see 4 of the 5 champions coming up in the upcoming Idle Champions Presents Trials of Mount Tiamat. This is a kind of a multi-aspect entertainment initiative. Like, it's somewhat interactive in the sense that we have this pop-up now in screen in the game. So this is going to be up here next to your tracker for the next 7 weeks, as you can see, because there are going to be 7 weeks of TTRPG games. And basically, they put this here so you know what's going on and you can interact with what's going to happen in each week's show. So right off the bat, week 1, we've already been participating in this. You get 6 days of voting. I know, folks, there's 7 days in a week. Hold up. You get 6 days of voting. On the 7th day, the stream happens. So the streams are going to be happening on Mondays. Oh, no. Did I? 4 p.m. Pacific. I'm like, I swear it's 4 p.m. Pacific, but I knew I'd biff it if I didn't go look. Yep. So the Mondays at 4 p.m. Pacific here on the Twitch C&D Games channel. So you vote starting on Tuesdays, and you vote all the way through Sunday, and then Monday all the stuff happens. So far we've seen you vote on on, hey, they're going to encounter a friendly Myconid during their adventure. What's their name, right? So you're kind of determining what's going to happen and who potentially these NPCs are going to be, and maybe how they interact with the group. Who knows? All kinds of stuff, right? So we've done that. There's sometimes they give little bonuses like a luck die. We did one of those. They're going to find a shiny new item. We did one of those. What does that mean in game? It could just be that they literally just find a shiny new item. Like maybe it's just a prettier weapon, or maybe it's a more powerful weapon. It's whatever B-Dave wants. B-Dave's going to be the DM. So whatever he determines he wants to give the champion based off what we in the game have voted on, is going to happen. It's going to happen. And then which champion's guaranteed gains a guaranteed critical role next episode. That's what we're voting on currently. This voting is going to be up here shortly. Voting starts at noon Pacifically noon each day. So we will see the determination here in a moment. Now, obviously, we can't click on what to see what future weeks are going to be because they're going to lock that. They're going to lock that up. But we can see what this is. We'll see what the next day is here in a moment. We have been getting different rewards, but since we are voting on these, it is important to know that you can earn some extra votes. You get one free each day. So every day you're going to get one free vote. So even if you use up all of your extra votes, know that you will at least get to place one vote each day for the new vote. That's 6 votes. You can earn up to 6 more. So you could spend 2 votes each day, or you could save them all up, and you don't even have to vote each day. You could save them all up and dump them all on the last day. It's whatever you want to do. I've earned almost all of mine. I need to do 100 areas with Minsk as my highest DPS. All right. I mean, we should be familiar with this type of challenge. This is very much a patron style challenge. They're just maybe a little freer in this regard. We only had to beat 100 areas in a free play. We'll see how that goes along each week. These are weekly challenges. It is important to note that. Some people thought maybe they were daily challenges, but up here at the top, it's going to say a time left for this. And as you can see, it's 2 days, 2 hours, 53 minutes. That means this was for the week. So just know you get a total of 12 votes each week. Again, you can save them. You don't have to cast them. But this is your way of interacting a bit with what's happening in the live play. I know some people, like the first day's vote was it didn't really matter which way you voted. It was just your personal preference on the name, because the rewards were exactly the same. The first day, you were going to get Ascendant Havilar skin and unlock Havilar, no matter what, right? And we have done that. In fact, if I go over here, here's Havilar, folks. If I go over here, we do have the cool Havilar skin. Now, these previous skins, I do want to point out, Pirate Havilar and Red Panda Havilar, these came from the previous version of Idle Champions Presents. This time we get some of the skins up front. So this is the new Havilar skin. And it even skins up the imps. They've got little helmets on and cloaks and yeah, pretty neat. Pretty neat. So we are already seeing some of the things kind of interact in the game, but sometimes the rewards are going to be different. So like when it was which champion gets a luck die, it was either a gold chest for Avren or for Havilar. So we ended up getting an Avren chest. These are an either or. Whichever vote wins is going to happen. I want to be clear, though. It doesn't matter which way you voted. You will still get the reward. It does not matter which way you vote. You are trying to lean things one way or another and get what you want out of it, but you'll get a reward regardless. You don't even have to vote. If I had not voted here, if I had said, ooh, I don't want to get in the middle of this fight, you still get the reward. You still get the reward as long as you go and claim it. So again, these have been either or types of rewards. This one, I do want to... we haven't unlocked all 6 yet, so I can't go over the different types you might see. This one is a return. This is kind of a returning thing. You might go, what do you mean random prize? Well, they're kind of showing you that there's a die here. What's going to happen is if this plays out like last year, when you go to claim this, you're going to roll one of these Iris D6s in-game. It's going to come up on a number, and you will get a reward based off what number it comes up. it's not completely random. I mean, the die roll is random, but there's going to be, obviously, as you can see, 7 weeks of this. If they do this like last year, you should roll through every number. You should eventually get every number. And then maybe one more random one, since there's 7 weeks, if they do this every week. Last time around, when you landed on the Iris, which is the 6 that you see poking up here. Iris is the mascot of Idle Champions. That's the Beholder. If you're curious, if you were confused as to who Iris was, that's her name. Last year, when it came up on the 6, we got a free familiar. You got a free familiar. They've stated this year, if I recall correctly, the familiar is baby Bahamut. So there is a baby Tiamat in game, and now they're adding a baby Bahamut to the game. So that should be one of the rewards. I don't know if they're going to come off the 6 on the die this time, or if it's something else, but that's how it worked last time, folks. So who knows? Here in about less than 3 hours, someone may find out what the Iris result is, because somebody will get it. Somebody will get it and post it in Discord, and everybody else will be like, "Oh, I wanted that." So that's the way it works, right? So keep an eye each day. You got to log in. You get 24 hours to log in. You know, if you're not around one day, fine. Check the next day before noon Pacific, etc., etc. Just make sure you're checking in and you're claiming. Like I said, if you miss a vote, that is not as big a deal. Here, I'm going to give another vote to Celise here because I've got extra votes. It's not as big a deal if you miss a vote. Just make sure you're claiming regularly. Get your rewards. I think you have until all this is over to claim everything, but don't push it. Don't push it. Just try to grab your stuff right away, right? So this is kind of how this in-game section functionality works. You can just go to vote now. It's always going to take you to the newest thing. As you move along, you'll be able to grant these. Once the week is over, you cannot go back. You have 2 days and change. You cannot go back and do old challenges you missed. So make sure you're grabbing. If you want these votes, if for some reason you want all the votes, to my knowledge, there's nothing in-game that requires you to get all the votes. There's no reward for it or anything other than just having the votes. If you want all the votes, you can get all the votes. Make sure, once you've done, if you're a completionist, once the week's done, you won't be able to go back. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I'm seeing this question come up in chat. I'm going to address it right now. It is my not understanding that if you did not use all your votes in week 1, they just stick around and you can use them in the later weeks. There is a FAQ which covers most of this. Let me double check. How many votes can I get each week? Yeah. No, I don't think it says. Oh, earned votes are available for the duration of the Idle Champions Presents event. So there you go. That was my understanding, but let's be honest, I tend to just burn them all every week. Some people like to sit on them and hold them and be like, well, maybe there will be something that I really, really, really want to influence later on, right? Like, for instance, this one was kind of a big deal because when it says a shiny item, that means we were getting a shiny for one of these 2 champions, and it tells you this graphic tells you the item. So this was going to be the Black Pits banner, or this was going to be the knife or the dagger. So you could go and look, well, which one do I want? Like, this was Avren's ultimate damage, and this was like Morbid Excitement stacks. So yeah, I mean, there's a reason people were pushing for this one, because this was in-game meta-wise, this was the bigger deal than this one, right? That's kind of probably why Avren ended up winding out here, because gold Avren chests, Avren's pretty meta. Potentially getting more gear, even just a few more item levels for him was more desirable than getting more for Havilar, unfortunately. But over here it was just like, well, which name did you like better? I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little salty over this one. Puff it should be a name reserved for Magic Dragons. I'm just going on record officially saying that. Yeah. So there we go. Now, in Idle Champions Presents, as you can get, it's Idle Champions Presents The Trials of Mount Tiamat. So this is a high-level adventure. I want to say they are either starting at level 16 or 17 and going up from there. And yeah, spoiler alert. I mean, they're probably going to fight Tiamat. So this should be interesting. It should be an interesting game to watch. Again, Mondays, 4 p.m. They will basically each week influence kind of back and forth. The stuff that goes on there may then influence what happens in the game in the future. Like I showed off those pirate skins and the like there were the red panda skins and stuff. So sometimes we're influencing the live play game, and sometimes the live play game influences our game. We get stuff in it that came out of just random happenstance from what was going on in the game. So sometimes if you're into that, definitely tune in and watch, or you could catch the VODs. They're going to be up on a different channel. I know normally I direct you to the CNE YouTube channel. There is a specific Idle Champions YouTube channel, and that's where they're going to be putting that stuff. So keep in mind it will be on a different YouTube channel if you're going to catch the VOD on YouTube later. The way this works, though, is it's not going to be the same. They've announced the 5 champions for Party 1. It's not going to be the same champions throughout the entire TTRPG live play. So they're most likely, like the way it kind of sounds to me, I'm totally speculating. The way it sounds to me is they're going to run Party 1 for 3 weeks, and then they'll have Party 2 for 3 weeks. And then they'll all come together to fight Tiamat in week 7. I don't know that that's how it's going to happen, though. That's just pure speculation. Maybe there will be 3 parties. No, that'd be way too much to handle. But yeah, so Party 1, as you can see, we're looking at Bailoth the Entertainer. This is going to be played by Mark Meir. We are going to see... hold on. I've got... 1 second, folks. Apologies. We have also Avren, the Trickster God. Clearly we should all know that that's played by Todd Kenrick, who is also a CNE employee. And then we will have Celise Astorio, played by the wonderful Tanya DePass. Havilar, who everybody should know is one half of the Brimstone Angels duo, along with her sister Farida, played by Aaron M. Evans, who the author of those books, who now also works for CNE. And then the final one that they teased, that we didn't even know what their champion was going to be until yesterday, technically. Jason Charles Miller, the bard himself from Bardic Inspiration, is going to be playing his character Briv Hellclaw from Sirens of the Realms. And that means that we are actually getting Briv Hellclaw in-game. Hold on. I've got art for that. Habam! This is Briv Hellclaw. We got the champion spotlight dropped yesterday, so we'll start with them. Let's talk about what each of these champions does. If you haven't used them in-game yet, or you haven't picked them up in-game yet, Briv is a human rogue bard. Again, a member of the Sirens of the Realms, along with currently Vlanya and Ariza. Brig's going to be eligible for Merton Zariel patrons when he comes out, and he's going to be a slot 3 swap, so with Nayeli et al. In slot 3. Brig's basic attack is going to be War Loot. He leaps out and smashes a random enemy with his metallic guitar. It's so funny. We just did a song recently on Bardic Inspiration called "Ode to War Duke," and now I know he doesn't do parodies, but now I want a parody of "Ode to War Duke" that's "Ode to War Loot." I don't know. I like parodies. Formation abilities. Briv is all about that hype. He's all about that hype game. He has a hype ability, and his other abilities all feed into hype. So Briv increases the damage of everyone in the formation everyone in the formation, by 100%. This value is based on his hype stacks. For each hype stack, the buff is increased by 10%, stacking additively, then applying multiplicatively. And everything else feeds into it. And yes, there is an item for that, so that those numbers are going to get modified. Rallying Cord Brig's hype is increased by 5, while at least one enemy has been defeated in the past 10 seconds. If no enemy has been defeated in the last 20 seconds, Brig gains 1 hype each time a unique champion attacks up to a maximum of 10 hype. So while it is a ramping damage type of thing, like based off kills, there is also a feature that will ramp up his hype even if you're not killing, to a certain extent. Inspired Bard increases hype by 1 for each adjacent champion, so this is one that you may or may not want to build around, just depends on the formation layout. And it increases by an additional stack for each adjacent champion whose listed attack damage is higher than his. We don't know, folks, I don't know what listed attack damage means yet. We'll find out when it goes live. There's so many different damage numbers. I don't know which one they want. Critical moment. Brig's hype is increased by 1 for every 5 enemies on the screen rounded up. That means it caps out, well, it doesn't cap out. The maximum number of enemies you can have on a screen is 100? Potentially 100 and a boss on a boss screen that has a flood. We'll have to see. It is increased by an additional 10 whenever a boss enemy is on the screen. So this could potentially build up rather large. And then volume up. This is actually, I don't want to call it a permanent stacking mechanic. It's a permanently referenceable number that he uses here. So increases the damage bonus of hype based on the highest number of hype stacks that Brig has ever had at once. This increases 5% per hype stack, stacking multiplicatively before applying. So when I was talking about the aforementioned 100 enemies on the screen and potentially a boss, meaning that could get up to like 30 stacks, that might matter. People will be figuring out how can we get the highest potential number of hype stacks at once. Like what formation is going to help us with that? What champions are going to help us do that? How can we just stack that up once? Because you stack it up once, and then you don't have to worry about volume up again. It's just always going to apply this massive number, potentially massive number, to your hype. Specializations backup singer. Brig gains 2 hype stacks for each champion in front of him in the formation. And then cream of the crop, Brig gains 2 hype stacks for each champion in the formation whose listed attack damage is lower than himself. So really odd. The higher and lower listed attack damage things. We're going to have to figure out what that is, but those are odd. I feel like backup singer is probably going to be the go-to specialization. Ultimate ability, solo. Of course he gets a solo moment, folks. I can't wait to see this one visually. Brig performs a killer solo with flashing lights and musical notes flying everywhere, damaging and pushing enemies back with massive sound power. For the next 30 seconds, Brig's hype stacks are increased by 11. They had to throw in the reference. Turning it up to 11. Alright. Item-wise, damage all champions items, 2 of them. A hype item, a volume up item. So that volume up, maxing that out, it's a big deal. Then ultimate attack damage and ultimate cooldown. So that's what we're going to see when Briv arrives to the game in Liar's Night on Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, folks, Brig will arrive. So he will appear in Idle Champions Presents The Trials of Mount Tiamat on Monday. Then we'll arrive in the game for all of us to enjoy on Wednesday. On Wednesday, Liar's Night's going to bring the return of Avren and Esmeralda. So let's talk about Avren next, even though it's a little out of order. Avren the Trickster God, a couple different skins for him. Currently, there is a new skin coming. Each of these champions is going to have a specific Ascendant skin. I already showed off the Havilar one, but there's a new one coming for Avren, which shows him, which he's basically a skull face, and instead of a dagger in his hand or a coin, it's a skull. It looks really good. Looks really good. Avren works around mirror images. Mirror images. We'll talk about spectral shards. Base attack. Avren tosses 3 spectral shards at random enemies. 1 does damage, 1 stuns, and 1 is fake and only briefly staggers the enemy. So he does have a little bit of CC built into his basic attack. But really what we're talking about are the images. You can see the images floating here. He starts off, once you get this ability, he starts off with 2 of them. Avren casts mirror image every 15 seconds. The image lasts for 30 seconds and buffs its target depending on their tags. Now, if they have multiple tags, they get multiple buffs. And you get these for each champion that is tagged with it, right? So DPS increases that champion's damage by 1%. Support increases the damage of all champions. And then tanking increases all incoming healing. So ideally, you want to get mirror image on as many support champions as possible, while also getting it on your DPS champion. If that DPS champion is tagged DPS/support, bonus, because they'll get both, right? So he has 2 sets of specializations, and the first one you pick based off the alignment of your DPS champion. So good, neutral, or evil on that good, neutral, evil axis is what you're looking at here. I'm just going to pick one. And then he gets another set of specializations, and this one affects his mirrors. I would explain them both, but there's no need. Sturdy mirrors is the only one you're ever going to want to choose. This is one of those specializations options, folks. The other one doesn't matter. This increases the duration of mirror image by 100% to 60 seconds. So why is this the only one that ever matters? Well, if you'll remember, he casts a mirror image every 15 seconds. So this means you end up with a max of 4 mirror images out. And since each one, see, now we're already up to 3. If I had another champion in here, let's throw Gromma out here, just for explanation's sake. Oh my gosh, it's Tiamat. Avren's going to cast another mirror image, and there will be 4 mirror images on the screen, and that maximizes the potential overall buffs. There we go. That you're getting. Oh, I am on the... apologies, folks. Here we go. I forgot to switch over. All right. So here's what it looks like. Mirror images. Here's the skins. It's been a rough week. Here we go. It's a new skin coming. This is what happens when I start with Brig. I was going to end with Brig, and I started with Brig. My bad. So here's how the mirror images look now that we've got all of these out. That's what matters. I can respec here. Hey, Avren. Let's look at your specializations again. Good, neutral, evil. I chose good. This is for your DPS only. Sturdy mirrors. This left one's all you ever need to pick. And we're done. And C. That's it. Seeing double is one other extra feature that's based off your mirrors. Increases damage of all champions by 1% multiplicatively for each champion adjacent to Avren. So he likes to be surrounded by people. The base count is increased by 50% again for each active mirror effect on the adjacent champion. So ideally, you would surround him with all 4 people who have mirror images. With all 4. Like you would want to set up the formation so that ideally you would set them up so that all 4 are around him. That would give you the maximum buffage. That's not always going to be an option. So just try to get him next to as many mirror images as possible. As many images as possible. So the reason that you always go sturdy mirrors over that right spec is because as long as it's landing, and you've set up your formation so that it's landing on support champions, like it is here, that buff, off that support buff, just getting even one more mirror support buff is immensely bigger than going the one on the right spec. It's not a competition. They're weird options. Could you potentially end up in a situation where you're limited to the number of champions and you're only going to have 2 mirrors out, in which case you might want to go with the other one? Yes. But in that situation, you probably don't want to use Avren if you have any choice in it. So yeah, I mean, there's always exceptions to rules, folks. There's always exceptions to rules. All right, our champions are getting a little sneak peek of the battle they're going to have to make against a fight against Tiamat. They don't have their 5th companion, or Brig would probably be carrying them right now. All right. Up next, let's just hop back to Bailoth. Bailoth the Entertainer. I didn't do Avren's ultimate. Avren likes his ultimate's called Insignificance. This isn't going to work here entirely because we can't make Tiamat smaller. But he casts Reduce on all enemies on the screen, which deals damage. It says some damage. It does a good chunk of damage. Reduces their size by half and their damage done by 50%. So this is a nice survivability feature because you're going to take less damage for 15 seconds. He also casts Enlarge on himself for the duration, and during that time his base attack changes from Spectral Shards to Kick. So here we go. He gets much bigger, folks. Tiamat's not getting any smaller. But if Tiamat had any extra enemies out here, those extra enemies would be smaller. They get down to like shrinky-dink size. And it stays that way for a while. And then when he kicks them, it can actually knock them back. Again, not going to work against Tiamat, but something to keep in mind for regular bosses. Or for regular enemies. And regular bosses. Bailoth the Entertainer now. Chain Lightning. Bailoth fires a bolt of lightning at random enemy, which deals damage in arcs up to 4 times, dealing 20% less damage per arc. So it is a multi-hit attack that can bounce around. Bailoth the Drow Sorcerer, support gold find. His first ability, paid partially with pain, delivers that gold. Enemies hit with the Chain Lightning drop more gold when they're killed. Cause for celebration, enemies killed by champions in the column ahead of or behind Bailoth explode into magical paper confetti. Because why not? Daily damage is slowing enemies near them by 50% for 10 seconds. The damage done ignores debuffs and is either half of the hit that killed them or 1/4 of their max health, whichever is higher. This effect can chain if the explosion kills an enemy. So this is the first positional formation ability. This means that you want to have Bailoth in front of or behind your primary DPS so that he can trigger these explosions. So you can get that extra damage. Morbid Excitement. This is what we're talking about. We got that shiny item for. All champions in the column in front of or behind Bailoth do more damage. So again, cueing you to the fact that you want Bailoth either in front of or behind your DPS champion. Not in the same column. And not like 2 or more columns away. So, does more damage per Morbid Excitement stack. Morbid Excitement loses 10% of its stacks every 10 seconds. And stacks cap at a number. The number, I say at a number because this can change based off lots of things. So right now, my stacks are a couple of things. My stacks are capped at 185, but this is affected by that Black Pit's banner. That's an item that raises the number of stacks, but there's also other things that can raise stacks. So, stacks are earned for the following. An enemy drops more gold due to paid partially with pain. An enemy explodes in confetti due to cause for celebration. A chain reaction kills an enemy due to cause for celebration, or a champion dies, or which is the biggest one, or a champion in any column in front of Bailoth takes damage. This is any column in front of Bailoth. So, I could put, if my DPS were in this column, I can put Bailoth here, and I get credit for all of these columns getting hit by a Tiamat, which means I max out stacks, right? So it doesn't have to be like here. With the DPS here, you can put as long as you put Bailoth like right behind the DPS, like if the DPS were Avren, you could put them all the way back here and get credit for everyone in the party. I mean, it's just it's an option. That may not be exactly where you want them, but keep in mind that Bailoth can go all over the place. Just make sure he's either in front of or behind your DPS. Now we get to the biggest ability of all. Generous Djinn. This is a manipulative ability, so this is manually adjusting things to make it happen, and it can be a really big deal. Bailoth's Djinn servant Najim will bring back any champion that dies at 1 HP. So basically, the way this works is they don't actually die. It should probably be read, like in D&D, it's one of those abilities that is, if you were to fall to 0 hit points, you instead would fall to 1, right? This is what's happening. They're not actually getting to 0. They're going to 1 instead. It then makes them immune to all damage currently for 20 seconds. This can change. For as long as the resurrected champion lives, the party's damage is increased by 300%. And there is a 60-second cooldown on this. When people talk about Djinn stacking, or Bailoth stacking, this is what they're referring to, because you can get one of these. You can manipulate your party so that members die, and get one of these on each member of your party, thus increasing and getting that bonus for each of them. And it stacks, and the bonus goes up, and you can end up with like an E10 to E12 bonus in damage, which is a big bonus. Just takes a little work, and you have to make sure that currently you don't go offline or switch them to the background, so you can't close your client out or anything. That has been stated to be a bug. It shouldn't be happening, and they're going to try to work on that. But until they fix it, make sure you're not shutting it down, because if you do, you got to restack everything all over again. But yeah, and then you just have to make sure you don't die. Right? And they'll stick around. Which is the good timing for here we go with the specializations. There's Bailoth's Birthday Party, which increases cause for celebration related stacking values for morbid excitement by 100%, increases damage bonus by 100%. Not a big, Overexcited increases the max stacks of morbid excitement by 200%. This one's actually nice, because again, if you're stacking up those stacks to a high number, comes in handy. If you're not going to worry about the stacks, you would kind of go over here. But these are just kind of general, I don't want to manually manipulate things kind of buffs. The show must go on is really the big moneymaker here. Champions resurrected by Najim are invulnerable for an additional 10 seconds, so that's 30 seconds. And you increase the pre-stack damage bonus of resurrected champions by 100%. Even if you lose just one person and you get one Jin stack, this is the biggest deal. Now, if you're just running stuff where you're not going to die, you're not going to push that far, and you're never going to trigger a Jin stack, then sure, run Overexcited or Bailoth's Birthday Party, go wild. But if you're going to be pushing super deep and trying to do difficult stuff, the show must go on is going to give you the most damage that you're going to get, period, off a Bailoth specialization. There's just no getting around that. It's just, if you get it on all party members, again, obviously you'd have to have a lot of party members because it's based off the number of party members, but it's a big deal. That's everything. Okay. And then if we look over here, if I were to get a Gen stack, see my post-stack bonus with all my items and shenaniganry has a super high percentage. And then it's going to list if somebody dies off, which, I would have thought Tiamat would have killed us by now, but apparently not. If somebody dies off, then we'll see. I will come back over here and we'll see one of the stacks. And what it looks like, Bailoth gets damage all champions items, 2 of them, but then he goes all in on his kit. So paid partially with pain, effective morbid excitement, stacks of morbid excitement, and then post-stack buff of Bailoth's generous Jin. So he is a 6-item champion in the sense that all 6 are useful for pushing power. He doesn't get anything related to his ultimate. His ultimate, now that's an entrance. Najim streaks across the field, dealing massive damage to all enemies, pushing the ones that survive back slightly, but more importantly, increasing Bailoth's excitement stacks to max. So his ultimate is a power boost. So whenever it's up, if you want to spike your damage, this is what you hit, and here's what it looks like. Calls forth Najim. Najim races across the field, and that's it. But now, more importantly, our stacks are maxed. Right, I'm up to 742. They are at max, and now they're starting to slowly fall off. Right, so if you can get that number up really high, then there you go. There you go. Streaks in this sense runs across the field really fast. Bailoth currently has a couple skins. Pirate Bailoth is the one I usually go with. That's my favorite because I like the pirates. And then there's a red panda Bailoth, which makes him look a bit like David Bowie from Labyrinth, like the outfit-wise, but he's a red panda. Again, these came from the last Idle Champions Presents, The Unfair Seas. That's how we got these skins in the game. He's getting a new Ascendant skin, so keep an eye out for that. I'm going to put him back in his pirate skin because I like the pirates. Havilar. Havilar's up next. Basic attack, Glaive Thrust. She cleaves the closest enemy with her glaive, hitting all nearby enemies. Her ultimate is a bit of a toggle. An imp flings itself at the nearest enemy. Well, currently, an imp flings itself. It depends. Hold on. Let's toggle it out of its current stats so we can get it into its normal one. It's a toggle back and forth with with a cooldown. 10 seconds on the earlier one, 20 seconds currently. Summon imps is what it starts out at. Mott and another imp are summoned. The imps attack with Fire of Asmodeus. There are 3 different imps that can come out with Mott, and each one will cause different things to happen based off these other abilities that she has. We're going to get into that in a moment. So once it comes back, you can resummon them, and then the ultimate becomes Heroic Sacrifice, where they fling themselves at enemies and blow up. They do damage in an AoE, and they also slow all affected enemies. The slow is where we get some shenaniganry with Havilar. That slow applies, and then if you blow up imps on that enemy again, it applies again, and it stacks and it stacks and it stacks, and eventually you can freeze an enemy completely so it can't even move. And then you just knock it back away from your party, and then it just sits there, and you kind of wave and you know, make fun of it, and it can't ever get to you again. Obviously, you would want to do this with a melee enemy, because ranged enemies are just going to shoot you in the face, but keep that in mind. This unlocks right away. It's your first ability for the Summon Imps and the toggleable into Heroic Sacrifice. Leadership Summit. Havilar increases damage of all champions in the 2 columns behind her, so your DPS needs to be somewhat close. The ability is augmented by whichever imps are currently assisting her. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of potential options based off the imps. Havilar just got a new ability. Farida got it as well. It's called Sister Sister. Farida's, I think, functions a little differently. Increases the effect of Havilar's leadership summit by 200% when Farida is in the formation. So they're trying to make Havilar and Farida work together a little bit better. Infernal Fortitude. This is the health share since she is a tank. Fiendish Resolve. When any fiend is in the area, Havilar focuses less on her own attacks and more on buffing the party. Her base attack cooldown is doubled, but the effective leadership summit is increased by 100%. There are also imp-related bonuses based off Fiendish Resolve. Battlemaster. Each time Havilar attacks, she increases the damage of all champions for each enemy she hit, up to a max of 20 stacks. The effect lasts for half of Glaive Thrust's base cooldown. So this is kind of like, well, once you start getting enemies stacked up on you, she's going to do AoEs and give you another nice bonus. So this is kind of her version of a ramping bonus. Her specializations, you can either blow up your imps faster. Again, that shenaniganry we were talking about before. Or you can do Mastery Battle, which doubles Battlemaster's effect. I tend to just run Mastery Battle, unless I'm going to be like Azaka farming and freezing an enemy or something, right? Otherwise, I don't worry about the imp blowing up that much. If we go over here and we look, so here's how it's going to list out. This is where you're going to find out what effects are going on with Leadership Summit. Let me pull up because it's going to take forever to rotate through these. But Mott is always going to be out. Mott is her default helper. Mott will come out all the time. It's the others that are going to rotate. So whether you get like Dembo or Alla, or I can't remember the name of the last one off the top of my head. Those are going to show up at different times. Those are going to show up at different times and won't always be available. And you're going to rotate through. Why can't I find? There we go. You're going to rotate through them via the ultimate. So there, you're going to want to set them up specifically for different situations. So when it comes to Leadership Summit, Mott is always going to be increasing the effective Leadership Summit by 400%, but only for Tiefling champions. It's almost like she's supposed to work with Havilar, her twin sister. I don't know. Imagine that. Dembo will just increase the effective Leadership Summit by 200%. Alla increases Leadership Summit by 50% for each enemy Havilar is tanking, so that adds a ramping effect if a lot of enemies are building up. That one then becomes bigger than a Dembo buff, right? Bosch increases Leadership Summit by 400% if there are any enemy or boss enrage stacks active. So if Tiamat were an enraging boss, then Bosch would be the boss killer spec, right? That's kind of how that works. Fiendish Resolve. So Fiendish Resolve is the other one that's modified by the imps. So Mott is always going to be out when you have imps out. He increases the effective Leadership Summit by 25% per fiend enemy on the screen. Again, Havilar works best against fiends. Dembo, fiends have a 50% chance of dropping 2 quest items or counting for 2 kills when killed. This is her speed effect. So if you're going to use, if you want to be using Havilar for speed, you have to get up to Fiendish Resolve, and it's just Dembo is the first imp. So the very first time you mash that ultimate button, Mott and Dembo are coming out. Alla, fiends take 100% extra additional damage from ultimate attacks, if you want to rotate Alla in. Bosch halves the damage Havilar takes from all attacks and triples the damage of Heroic Sacrifice. So Bosch, when fiends are out, will make Havilar tankier. That can be super nice, right? Depending on the situation. So Havilar is going to run, because she's a tank support, she gets double all champs damage items, and she gets a health item. It's her fanciest dress. Then we go into Leadership Summit, so everything builds off Leadership Summit, but she also gets Battle Master, and then it's her ultimate attack damage, because obviously they're not going to reduce the ultimate cooldown, right? I didn't go into feats on these. I mean, we get the general feats. There's nothing special for these champions and feat-wise. I mean, they go all in on what's going on. Bailoth has the generous gen feats. That's obviously fantastic. He also gets gold find feats. Avren, he gets mirror image feats. Guess what? Mirror image is his big thing, so maybe you want the mirror image feats, right? It's all pretty straightforward. It's all pretty straightforward for these when it comes to their feats. Celise Astorio, tanky. Celise has a new skin in the game. Oh, bam! Ascendant Celise. Of course I picked that up. It's awesome. Celise changes as well based off some functionality. So Celise, why did I close it? Celise goes through stances with her ultimate. So kind of like Havilar, she can adapt to situations. And potentially, you might be better off manually switching her through those when you're really trying to aggressively push and get like every last level you can, every last bit of damage you can out of Celise. Or it'll support bonuses, right? So the basic attack, sword and board, she leaps out and attacks the nearest enemy. That is what her basic attack does. However, the bonus effect that comes off of that changes based off the stance she's in. If she's in her aggressive stance, she bashes the enemy before attacking them, stunning them for 2 seconds. This can cause hits and armor-based enemies to take 2 hits. Armor-based only, obviously, if she can break through the armor with her attack. In her wall stance, she takes 25% less damage from all attacks for the next 5 seconds after she attacks. As you can see, her attack cooldown is 5.5 seconds, so that is not, unless you get her some attack speed reduction, that is not going to constantly be up. With Deflect, damages all enemies in a small AoE if... wait, hold on. She just got changed. Now I've got to double check. Celise did just get an update. Wall stance sword and board damage reduction buff now lasts 10 seconds instead of 5. Yes, so this is now up all the time. So I was like, no, that changed. This was a balance for Idle Champions Presents. So in wall, you take 25% less damage from all attacks for 10 seconds. Deflect stance damage all enemies in a small AoE if Reflective Shield is chosen. That's one of her specializations. And gain 1 charge of deflection for each enemy hit. Last Resort, that's her final stance. She damages and knocks back all enemies in an AoE. So this is her basic attacks will change based off... Right now I'm in aggressive stance. You see that's symbolized by the sword. So if I rotate here, now I go into wall stance. This is based on this like little castle-like feature. And you can see the reflection here, 25% less damage for 10 seconds. Right, so it all changes. The reflective stance is the shield. It'll give you that information here. If I hit it again, now I'm in last resort. And that's this, well, normally it's a regular lightning bolt symbol. But right now it's a charged lightning bolt, and it's that way for a reason. So let's go, I'm going to leave it there while we talk about what's going on here. Divine Sense is her base ability, so it increases damage of champions in the 2 columns behind her. So again, she needs to be within 2 of your DPS. The extra effect is going to differ based off what stance she's in. So again, lots of things to remember for stances. In aggressive stance, champions affected by Divine Sense have their base attack cooldowns reduced by ½ a second. In wall, champions in the same column as Celise take 25% less damage from melee attacks. In Deflect, champions affected by Divine Sense take 25% less damage from ranged and magical attacks. And in Last Resort, her Overwhelm is increased by 15. So right now, I'm up to 30, right? Shield of Psychomancy while in aggressive stance. So only in this stance does this kick off. Celise tosses her shield in an arc targeted at the farthest enemy. Every fourth attack, it deals damages and stuns all enemies hit for 2 seconds. And it increases Divine Sense for each enemy hit until she attacks with Shield of Psychomancy again or changes stances. So this is kind of a form of a ramping bonus, because if it hits lots of enemies, it's going to go up quite a bit. Vow of Vengeance while not in aggressive stance. So in any of the other 3 stances, she increases the effect of Divine Sense by 1% for each enemy attacking her. So this is the straight up ramping buff instead of having to throw the shield through things. Thunderous Smite. Because her ultimate is basically just swapping stances, they decided to give her an ultimate-like ability, and that's what that Charged Lightning Bolt is. So, when switching from Last Resort to aggressive stance, Celise channels the Divine Power of Tyr and attacks a random enemy with her sword, dealing Bud-based AoE damage and Bud-based chaining lightning damage from the enemy struck to 5 nearby enemies. However, the effect can only trigger every 180 seconds. So that's this, right? So if I pop this off, like, she does her thing, and if it wasn't Tiamat, we would see all kinds of stuff happen. That's effectively how that works. So keep in mind, Thunderous Smite, that's that. If I rotate through these again, we're going to see... Oh, she got stunned. Hold on. Let me get her back to this, and you will see that it's just a regular lightning bolt because the 180 seconds hasn't passed, right? See, there we go. Normal lightning bolt now. Doesn't happen. So, specializations. She is a lot like Morgaine in that you pick multiples. You pick one of these options, and the ones you don't pick are going to come back in her second specialization choice along with another new one. So if you want to get the reflective stuff, like we're dealing with Tiamat here, we would want to go with reflective, and then we would want to put her back in her reflective stance. And then she's, in a much better, her and the people behind her in a much better position against Tiamat. Because of the reflections. Stop stunning me, Tiamat. I'm trying to do a show here. Just Tiamat, so rude, folks. So rude. So now there's some bonuses going on, right? Like champions behind her, and the 2 columns behind her take less damage from Tiamat now. That's a big thing. Plus, when she attacks, she gets her reflective stuff going on. And she reflects back. Now in reflective shield, she's going to reflect back ranged and magical projectiles, completely negating their damage and dealing 6 seconds of Bud-based damage. So now, whenever Tiamat attacks with a breath weapon or whatever and it hits Celise, it doesn't. It goes back to Tiamat instead. So that's the big deal. Let's talk about the other specializations, though. Tyr's Eyes increases the range of Divine Sense to affect 3 columns instead of 2. Ruthless Avenger, while in wall stance, Celise cannot be stunned. Any enemy that attempts to stun her is stunned themselves for 4 seconds. And then Mithril Skin, straight up damage reduction. She takes reduced damage the further her health falls below 80%. Right? So I'm just going to go with that one for now because we don't have a full party. I believe that's it for Celise. Let me double check. Oh, she gets her health share. Yeah, I mean, all tanks tend to get that. And then again, with feats, she's got Divine Sense. She has some interesting... I'll talk about hers in a second. Hold on. She does have one interesting one. At least one interesting one. She gets damage all champion stuff. She gets her health item. Divine Sense, because that's what everything's built around. But then she goes into Shield of Psychomancy or Vow of Vengeance. So she's buffing that secondary effect. So she goes all in on these effects. You can pick, like, do you want to buff Divine Sense? Do you want to buff Vow of Vengeance? Do you want to buff Shield of Psychomancy? Relentless Avenger, Thunderous Smite. This reduces the cooldown of Thunderous Smite by 40%. This is effectively, because that's kind of her ultimate, in a sense, this is effectively an ultimate cooldown reduction feat, right? So she has a lot of very specific specializations that you can choose to buff in, based off what's going on. So keep that in mind. You can get super granular with how you want to increase her abilities. So that's it. We got Brig, we got Avren, we got Bailoth, we got Celise, we got Havilar. Those are our 5 champions in Party 1. We don't know who Party 2 is going to be yet. They'll announce that at a later date. Yeah. And I'm just going to let them fight Tiamat while we do this. We're going to take a short break, folks. I'm going to drink some water for my voice. Then we're going to answer all the questions, hopefully. Hopefully all of them. Mars has been pulling questions while I've been talking. So I will be able to get, if you asked a question at any point, Mars should have pulled it. And I will be going in to address them. So what song are we listening to on the break? I believe this is Avren's song, The Boy Who Tricked the Devil. So I will be back momentarily.
Creeping in the shadow, mischief in his eye, the thief who stole the world, progenitor of lies. By the time he started talking, it's already far too late. He'll take a single coin and rearrange your fate. He's the boy who tricked the devil. He's the man who became a god. Words and trickery his tools, all humanity his fools, and best friends with demons and ghouls. If you come to bargain, he'll listen to your plea. A pact of life for power, nothing comes for free. By the time you see him smiling, he's taking full control. Take care in how you wager, don't jeopardize your soul. He's the boy who tricked the devil. He's the man who became a god. Words and trickery his tools, all humanity his fools, and best friends with demons and ghouls. If you move against him, you'll be resigned alone. And if his plans to fail, he'll have another clone. He's the boy who tricked the devil. He's the man who became a god. Words and trickery his tools, all humanity his fools, and best friends with demons and ghouls. So beware of breaking his rules.
That's amazing.
It is. It is amazing. And we're back, folks. And we're going to dive into the Q&A portion of the stream. Baradina, do I need to use my votes this week or do they carry over to the next week? So they carry over if you don't want to use them at all. That was multiple people asked that question, but Baradina was the first to get pulled. Kitty McSparkles, is there any benefit besides voting for the additional challenge votes? Nope. Like a 6 extra votes to unlock a breaches? Nope. Nope. None of that. Kevin, during the ICP event, will one of the prizes be Faygo soda? Probably not. Probably not. Not at least not FAYGO, but maybe FEYGO. See what I did there? For SETI52, why does he not have an axe, electric guitar, instead of a metal lute? I don't know. Ask Jason. It's his character. He created them. If he wanted them to have a metal lute, then he gets a metal lute. Plus, this is the Forgotten Realms. I don't know that there is electricity? Like electrical stuff? I don't know. I mean, in your game there might be, but yeah. That's a whole Sirens of the Realms question when he created that. Onyx Squared, I'm trying to build up my... Oh, this is nuts. And we'll do that one later, Onyx Squared. Not on topic. I will come back to it, though. How does Sailor Suzaku, how does Avren work with the tons of tags on nerds? Well, again, there is only a DPS. There's a buff for DPS, there's a buff for support, and there's a buff for tanks. So, you know, the nerds, yeah, it's only going to apply to those 3 things. So, if they have all 3 of those, then they get all 3, but, yeah. Again, the Avren will buff based off whatever tags you have. So, yeah. Why didn't your DPS increase when using Avren's ultimate? Mine normally at least doubles. Or you're talking the display at the top. Well, I don't use base DPS, first of all, because it lies. It lies. Stop using base DPS, people. I have running average showing, so that it isn't going to affect that running average as much. Frankly, I ignore that number at the top of the screen utterly and completely at all times while I'm playing. And I only ever look at Bud. Does Bailoth's Artelos one? Does Bailoth's base attack stack with itself? If you're Azaka farming. So this is for the gold find drop. No, it just applies once. It'll show a little icon over it. Once that icon is there, it's actually sticky. You can then swap Bailoth out and in for Jarlaxle, and get both. Porkin los dos. Get both bonuses. Ralicus, so they won't trigger party member dying morbid stacks? Oh, you're talking about Bailoth Djinn buffs. I mean, somebody can still die. Because remember, the Djinn stacking, like that mechanic has a cooldown. So if somebody dies, you know, there's other ways to bring that back. I don't know, honestly, with that interaction, I would need to watch. I really don't ever base, like I don't ever micromanage his stacks here. Because of the fact, so champion dies plus 100 stacks. I don't know if that's triggered when Generous Gen goes off. Because I don't ever micromanage this. Because his ultimate is a max button. All I ever worry about is hitting the max, like the ultimate every now and then if I really want damage. The rest of the time, you know, I just make sure I place him well, and rely on, you know, people getting damaged and stuff and not necessarily dying. So that, you know, if a champion dies, one is not one that I really pay much attention to. That was this one. Fnord. Does the Havilar ultimate slow persist if you take Havilar out of the formation? Yes, it is sticky. Tobro. I received the shiny Black Pits banner for Bailoth from the current event. Right, the Idle Champions Presents thing. But I already had a shiny Black Pits banner. Me too. Should I have received a potion of shiny? No. Or do the item levels just go up? Yes. When you get a duplicate shiny, you get 125 item levels on that item. So it didn't just go up a little bit, it went up a lot. It went up a lot. The only way you get a potion of polish is if you had a shiny and you get a golden on that slot. But this is just a duplicate shiny. So that's 125 extra item levels. Edlad. What happens if one of the champions dies on Idle Champions Presents? Will they be removed from the game? Nah. Spoiler alert, Benwin's dead. Benwin died a long time ago on Dice Camera Action, and no one's ever resurrected him. No one. It's so sad. Somebody. Hashtag bring back Benwin. Yeah, still in the game. Still in the game. In regards to Najim and the gen stacking, can you explain how, from Kevin, can you explain how Orkira abilities play with gen stacking? Also, potentially Strix abilities. I've quit trying to gen stack because she seems to make it so complicated. Well, there's something you can do with, like, first off, it shouldn't be, I feel like there's a bug with Orkira currently. First off, because sometimes she resurrects people she's not supposed to resurrect. She's only supposed to, or take place of, sometimes she swaps places with people she's not supposed to swap places with. She's only supposed to swap places with people she can heal, and she can't heal people adjacent to her. So what you do when you're gen stacking is you put Orkira adjacent to whoever you're trying to kill off. Right? So, you know, if you're killing people off in the tank line, you put Orkira right behind the tank line so that they're adjacent to the tank, or to whoever you're putting in the tank line and killing off. And that way they can't heal them, so the gen goes off. Right? I'm seeing someone say, well, just put her last. No, you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it that way. You just need to put her adjacent to the people you're killing off. And that should work. But occasionally, she still tries to resurrect them because she has healed them before, and she still makes the jump. There's a bug there. Now Strix, because again, the ability technically this shouldn't be dropping to 0. So with Strix, she has a like a failsafe where she like death words you. It shouldn't be going off. Shouldn't be, because they shouldn't be actually going to 0. But you know, all kinds of things shouldn't be happening in this game and then do so. Keep that in mind. General question. So Onyx Squared, I'm trying to build up my second core to get to level 2. I think that turns on automation. It's level 3. Level 3 for the fast and the strong core for automation. I only have 2 familiars I can spare. Are there any campaigns or levels that are good for doing that very slow building? Anything that doesn't have a barricade. So like Cursed Farmer in Sword Coast should work. Flanagan, how can you up the stacks of point? I can only do 8 of 25. You have to have lots more enemies on the screen, right? Like what's happening is every time he attacks someone, he causes a bleed effect, and that's a stack. So he just has to attack more people. Now, the real best way to do this, though, is just to wait until there's 25, like 20 to 25 people on the screen, and then hit his ultimate. Because then he applies those stacks, the bleed effect to everyone that he hits with his ultimate. So if you're trying to do his achievement, that's how you do it. You let 25 enemies build up, you fire off his ultimate. Q Mischief, I got Jim for free from the time gate. Kind of gutted as he appears to be mostly useless. Is it okay to close the time gate early, and now I am up to free play and go open a paid gate and get someone I actually need? So Jim works. He can be a magical DPS. He can also be a magical support. The Jim gets a lot of use by chickening things. So whenever you've ended up with one of those leftovers on the screen, like a Krull leftover or an enraged stack leftover on a boss level, Krull can turn that, or Jim can turn that into a chicken and kill it off right away. This is also how people do shenaniganry with Briv and Human to get to super high, and Havilar to get to super high, and maybe Sentry to get to super high levels that they shouldn't be able to get to. So Jim has a lot of functionality, but it's a little bit niche. Keep away, no prob. This is the first Gaarawarr stream I've caught live, and I just want to say thank you for all your guides. They're indispensable. You're welcome. That wasn't a question, but, you know. And welcome to the stream. Alceric, how do you get those extra golden outlines around your items? Max level? Around the item is different. Inside the item is shiny or golden. Oh, geez, these are all golden? Oh, there we go. Shiny or golden. Around... This is a legendary item. So this is part of the new upgrades from the Trials of Mount Tiamat and the Legendary Forge. These are legendary items. So I have upgraded. I've got one on Arkira. Got Herald's Accordion. For lore reasons, I had to get Herald's Accordion legendary. Grandma got her intricate headdress of the grandmother legendary. Shara has the ornate jade spear of the mind. Legendary. I think don't I have like one more? Where's my other legendary? Oh, Penelope. Never-ending story legendary because, I mean, come on, for lore reasons. If you don't know, that's a drawing of Orkira and Penelope on that rock. Yeah. So I've been picking the items I legendary based off, well, the item itself based off, you know, just whatever fun reason I want to pick, but then the champion based off what works best. Like, who am I using in my pushing formations, and I'm spreading them out. But yeah, so if it's a gold border around the item, that means it's been upgraded to legendary. Fine Magician 104. What is the best starter hero? I mean, this is a bit reductive in this question because you're building a formation. You're not just using one hero, one champion, but Ashara is a default champion, like one of your core 12 that you get just for starting the game, and she's the best DPS in the game once you use her right. But yeah, that question isn't. I think you're coming from a different type of game mentality, and that question doesn't necessarily make sense in Idle Champions. But if I try to make it make sense, then I'm going to say Ashara. That being said, usually when you start this game off for your DPS champion, you're using Jarlaxle. Tabarja, why does your click damage artwork look different from mine? Because I have a skin for mine. So there's the default, there's the green flame clicks, and then there's the snowball one. The green flame one was done as a promotion with Penny Arcade. Green flame. The snowball was like last year's Icewind Dale promotion. They gave us a click skin. They're looking into potentially making these, if they can put these in the gem shop, but, you know, they just never have. Corey Dever, do plain silver chests drop time gate items in a time gate? No. There are no time gate items? I think you mean like, do they drop items for that champion in a time? No, only named silver chests, like if you're running a time gate for Jim, only Jim silver chests drop items for Jim. Regular silver chests and regular gold chests only drop items for your core and evergreen champions, so not time gate or event champions. Sika, how are you today? Saturday. This is the start of my Saturdays every week, so I have to do some work later. Cook some dinner tonight, making chicken enchilada soup in the slow cooker. Yeah, Saturday. Science guy. On the champion screen, stats have a small change applied to each stat. Like Bruno, it says strength 17 plus 3. What is the meaning purpose of the plus 3? This is a throwback to D&D. Like this is a D&D themed game, so they had to throw this in. On a character sheet. You will have numbers for your abilities scores, but then you will see little bonuses like these plus ones. These are modifiers to rolls based off these ability scores. The default is like at 10. If you're at 10, you're going to have a plus 0. Right? 10 is kind of the neutral in the middle. For every 2 points you go up or down, you get either a plus or minus 1. So Orkira has an 8 int, womp womp. So it has a -1 to intelligence rolls, whereas she has a 20 wisdom, which is the basic max, So she has a +5 to those, right? So in the game, so this doesn't change. It's not strength 13 +1, so it's 14. That's not how it is. She has 13 strength. In the game, there are occasionally times, like right here on Tiamat, where a boss or a variant will have, like a boss will have an effect that makes you roll for a save. So Black Acid Breath has a dex save. They're trying. I think the DC is. Oh, it doesn't tell us what the DC is, like the difficulty of it is. But there's a dex save that gets thrown, and that's using your dex modifiers. There's a con save for the green poison breath. So yeah, I mean they are doing some rolls with those numbers behind the scenes, but it's really just a throwback to D&D. Just so that when they represent the numbers, like people get that little bit of D&D flavor from a character sheet. Dark Aquarius, when I unlock blessings, are they permanent? Yes. Do they work across all campaigns or just the campaign the favorite comes from? Well, it depends. So we're looking at, I'm in Avernus right now. On any system that portrays blessings like this, where there's 3 on the left and 1 on the right, the 3 on the left are local and only happen in the Descent into Avernus campaign. The 1 on the right are global. The way they do this, if they just list them all off, the way you know is it's the ones that say overall campaigns that happen everywhere. Otherwise, it's just locally in that campaign. So all of these say overall campaigns, right? That means they're global blessings. This one is just a generic. So it increases the total number of scales a Tiamat receive for a Trials of Mount Tiamat campaign by 10%. That only applies to Trials of Mount Tiamat, so they don't have to put overall campaigns. But everything else, all of these ones on the left, are specifically just for Descent into Avernus. They are the bigger bonuses. Like here's 2,000% damage, right? You get the bigger bonuses for the local stuff, and then the nice bonuses, but they're modest, more modest on the global side. On the global side. Bublicon, Zorbu, or Ayla in my random time gate for better progress. Ayla. You're about to unlock Dragon Bait. Yeah, I don't know that. Well, yeah, I mean, would you use Ayla in Dragon Bait? Maybe, maybe not. But Ayla. Super Fluffy Kitty, do you have a good Artemis or Kron formation? I don't really use them, so I would say no, I don't. I mean, I use Artemis and Kron in variants when I need to, but that's so specific and usually super restricted, so I wouldn't say that I know. Like, I've never tried to optimize a general usage Artemis or Kron formation. There are people in the Discord that do that quite a bit. Considering they're both top-tier DPS, are they, though? There are a lot of people that say this. There are a lot of people that say this, but are they really? I think there's a lot of believers. I don't know. I don't know. They're not who I go to if I just want DPS, so I don't know. But I mean, here's the thing: if I already have a DPS that can push super deep, this is one of the downsides of this game. Like in a generic situation, why would I need to learn how necessary? Why would I necessarily mess with the ones that aren't that great? This is like, again, this is one of the problems with idle champions is you only need one DPS in any given situation. Now that DPS might change based off restrictions, but when there are no restrictions, who do you use, right? So if you go super heavy into gearing up and getting item levels for Artemis or Kron, they're going to become super strong, right? But that's true for Ashara as well, or Zorbu, right? So how many super strong DPS do you need to complete all the stuff in the game? I'm mostly complete with everything. If we go over here, I haven't done the only reason this is 99%, I haven't done the most recent Icewind Dale variants. There's a couple in In Strahd's I can't do, and it has nothing to do with not having strong enough item levels. These are specifically, they need more champions available. It's so restrictive, I don't have the champions available. And we're finishing off, we've been finishing off on my Idle Chatter Patreon Edition Zariel stuff. And again, the ones that I haven't been able to do, it isn't because I can't build an Artemis or Kron formation. It's because I'm just not given enough champions in the current state of the game. Which just means I just need to wait until they add more champions, because they're adding champions all the time. Dark Demon 22 Timegate question: Ishii, Warden, or Mergain? Warden or Mergain would be my choices there, whichever one. They're both solid support champions. I know Warden's also a DPS, but you're not really going to use him as a DPS. Jamick, is there ever a point where, subjectively, of course, it might be a good idea to stop getting old Timegate champs that aren't very good to better gear the ones you have first? Absolutely. Yeah, there's a point where you might not want to water down your patron chest pools by adding subpar champions that just aren't super useful. See, like Rosie Beestinger, for instance. Yeah. But that's something you have to decide on, right? Xanth fan, if I use blacksmith contracts to boost an item and later get a better quality of that item, do I keep the stacks? Yes. Item levels are forever. So you can bounce through the rarity. Item level, rarity, and gilding are all, and legendary are all separate. So regardless of those statuses, they all stick around. So rarity is always going to use the highest. Gilding is always going to use the highest, but item levels are going to stay constant the whole time. And legendary is actually an additional effect. So it's not a rarity. You are epic and legendary at the same time. Onion LL Unl, what's the hotkey for showing who did the last kills? This hasn't been working for me. Hold on. Oh, it worked for me on Steam. It's control and then 3L, and then you hold down control and you hit the L button 3 times. But it hasn't been working for me on all platforms. It hasn't been working for me on all platforms. So it finally, this is Steam. It finally worked for me here on Steam. I'm shocked, honestly. Masked Alucard. Is there any way for anyone to join my Tiamat trial once it started? No. Or if not, is there a way to abandon it so I can just join a room? No. No. No to either of those things. No. Once you start your trial, like you're in and you're on the map screen and you're by yourself, you're by yourself. Nobody can join you. Now, I do want to say, if you're doing normal, you can solo in normal. I've soloed in normal. You get 100% solo in normal. You just need to get the daily goals every day. Just do those daily bonuses. You need at least, like, it used to be 171 DPS contribution, but I mean, if you're in Trials of Mount Tiamat, you should be able to get into the 180s to 200. Try to get like closer to 200, like E200 as your personal contribution, DPS contribution, before adding the bonuses in, and you'll be able to solo Tiamat. But even if you don't, even if you can't quite get that much and you don't get there, you will get scale rewards on a percentage, based on a percentage of the health that you removed from Tiamat. So if you remove 90%, of her scales, of her health, you'll get 90% of the base scale reward. And if you fail, you still get a chest, which I did not think was going to happen. It was real weird, but it happened. I tested this. I've been testing fail runs on my secondary account. Namespace exhausted. How do we make the control LLL screen go away? It says right at the bottom. There's a button that says hide. It's right at the bottom. Dark Aquarius, sorry if it's off topic. I mean, there is no topic at this point. Just kind of listening while I farm, but do campaigns have a limit? I've only seen a little past level 100. No. Like adventures, I think is what you're talking about. No. No. Okay, hold on. I'm going to do this again because some people are saying, no, there isn't a button. Down here. It says hide. It's down underneath the bottom. If you have a green background, adventure background, it kind of blends in. But it should be down there. If it's not, I don't know. I don't know then. I don't know. Hit escape maybe or something. I don't know. It's not really supposed to. So this is like a developer tool. This isn't supposed to be a function of the game. It's just that people found it, and now everyone thinks it's this default thing that everybody can use. And that's not what it was supposed to be for. It's like a debug tool. Slug DC, is there some trick or technique to get extra crawl stacks on something for an Azaka farm? I spent hours and never got more than the standard 10. Virulent Strain. Virulent Strain. So Virulent Strain is an ability Krull has that when you kill an enemy that has stacks on it, there is a chance that those stacks will spread to another enemy and give them a new instance of plague stacks. This is how you can go from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. 40 is the cap. This is why for Krull, the feats that you want on Krull are both of his Virulent Strain feats. That's it. If all you have is, if you have one enemy left on the screen and they only have 10 stacks on them, then you redo it. You redo it. And you keep redoing it until you get 20. Like if you only have one of his feats, like the base feat, that's like a 50% bonus, you're probably most of the time only ever going to see 20. I've seen 30 before, but that's like the holy, like 30 and 40 on without just one feat, or like, how did that happen? So yeah. So you try to aim for 20 when you have one of those feats, but what you have to do is you specifically have to build out, your formation so that you're not killing things. So what I do is I build my formation with Krull in it, but then I take my DPS out and I go to the boss screen and I let the boss move up and all of his enemies move up and beat on me for as long as I possibly can to give the Krull as much time as possible to spread plagues to all of the enemies and try to get pilfer on every enemy. Then I put the DPS in, potentially blow up the whole wave except for one enemy, and see if Virulent Strain procced, and I got multiple instances. If it does, it'll start ticking up from 10 to 11, 12, 13, right? Or maybe even all the way up to 30 or 40, right? Depending on how many spread, it could start ticking up. But if it still stays on 10, then I just restart the level and I do it again. Do it again. Paradina. I love this in the follow-up question. How does one turn an enchilada into soup? Or put soup in an enchilada? Basically, how does your dinner function? The follow-up question from Timnos. As a European, what even is an enchilada? Oh, this is great. Okay, hold on. Now I'm gonna get people are gonna get mad at me if I don't actually explain an enchilada correctly. So let's say what normally goes in. Now I'm like, what normally goes in an enchilada? Because this is clearly not normal. If I'm having enchilada soup, I'm clearly not eating an enchilada normally. So generic definition of an enchilada is a rolled tortilla with a filling typically of meat that's served with a chili sauce, right? So yeah, there's pictures on the internet, and you can look that up. But it's, yeah, a corn tortilla rolled around a savory mixture covered with a chili sauce and usually baked. That's an enchilada. So usually you'll see, like, you'll take your tortilla, you'll throw whatever you're putting in the middle of it in, you'll roll it up, and you put it in a baking tray. And you do a bunch of them so that you end up with like a big dish. And then you'll put like enchilada sauce, like you'll make up a sauce. This is the chili. You make up some kind of a flavorful sauce on top of it, and then throw lots of cheese on it. Some people will also throw like black olives or different things on top, whatever. And then you bake it like that, right? And then you scoop them out and you eat them. Enchilada soup is basically you're trying to get the flavors of an enchilada into a soup. I thought that's a chimichanga. You know, there's little differences, right? Little differences. A wet mini burrito. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Enchilada, folks. This is what I'm talking about when I have an enchilada. So in enchilada soup, in the slow cooker, I use, this is so not on topic, but I don't care. We've got time today. It's only 12. We got like a half an hour left. I don't have a half an hour's worth of questions sitting here. What goes in it? I use chicken breasts, so I do chicken enchilada soup. I dice them up into like little tiny cubes, like little bite-sized things, because I don't want like huge. You don't want to knife and fork this like a soup. That's not good. I use black beans. I use corn, enchilada sauce, and I throw all of that. Oh, and like some kind of, seasoning, like if you want to use like a generic taco seasoning, or you want to mix your own seasoning. And I put all of that in the crock pot and I mix it all up. Or no, crock pot, Instapot, but I do use it as a slow cooker. Mix it all up and then cook it for a while. This one's usually like 4 hours on low. And then when it's done, I add a ton of cheese. So like a bunch of like shredded cheese. Insta slow cooker. Well, Instapots function as a fast cooker or a slow cooker. So, but then you mix all the cheese in, so it ends up going from like soupy to a thicker sauce because of all the cheese. And then I like to break up tortilla chips, but only after I put it in my bowl. Break up some tortilla chips and then mix it all up, so you get kind of like a bit of a crunch to it. I don't know. Yeah, that's enchilada soup. So basically, you're getting a lot of the flavors of what you would have in an enchilada. You don't have the tortilla, right? The Lurking Rider. If you don't have Artemis or Narak, what's the next quickest method of building up Orkira's healing stacks? You just have to rely on Archon. You just have to rely on Archon to usurp stuff, and then build up. If you have Alcoria, you max out Alcoria, but that's it. I mean, you just have to use whatever you have. But without Artemis, Orkira stacking is not super effective. You need that Archon into Artemis situation to really get some solid Orkira numbers. Spady, how does rarity dupes affect item levels? Like, does higher rarity dupe give more item levels? Yes. So a white, it should be whites. The rating scale should go 1, 2, 4, 8. It should be like 1, 2, 4, 8. If I'm off the top, this is off the top of my head. I might be wrong, but it should be 1 for a white, 2 for a green, 4 for a blue, and 8 for an epic, which is why getting a shiny dupe with 125 item levels is a big deal. Tabarja, do any platform accounts overlap? No. None of them. Andrew Raven, are certain items more likely to get item levels than others, or am I just unlucky that my Hue slot 4 has a 180 while the rest is 240 to 330? It's RNG. It's bad luck. It's bad luck. When I'm dumping blacksmithing contracts and I'm trying to target a specific item, I try to do it with, or I'm hoping it lands on a specific item. I find I have better luck with greens and blues than with purples. Because they're going to spread out more and I'm going to get more of a statistically balanced average. Whereas if I'm just dumping epics, things swing like a huge amount. Phantasmic Ghost, are legendary equipment from Trials of Mount Tiamat the same as golden equipment or rarity? No. In fact, like again, epic, this is a golden epic legendary, this item right here. So legendary status is the gold border on the outside. The golden status, the gilding, is the gold border on the inside. And this is an epic item because you can't turn anything but an epic into a legendary. But it keeps all of those statuses, so it is a legendary golden epic. Epic. The legendary doesn't override the epic. So these are all separate. These are all separate states. And you level up this item. You still level when you put item levels into it. It's leveling up the golden epic portion. To level up the legendary, you have to do that through the forge, through the upgrade system. So you have to find something that you already have here and upgrade it. You have to spend an order of magnitude of favor, as well as scales to upgrade. So the current cost is 5,000 to upgrade this. 5,000 scales plus an order of magnitude of my helm's favor. An order of magnitude, for the people out there who want to know how much this is, literally 99% of your favor. I know that sounds scary, but it's just EO1. That's what EO1 is. So yeah, it's a big favor drop, and that's why you then, lately I've been targeting where I've been spending favor fund with my conversions so that I can try to keep them somewhat steady. Dark Aquarius, how often do you get potions in chests? Or are they something I need to buy? Oh, all the time. All the time. I open lots of chests, which is why I have thousands of potions, of some levels of potions, just sitting around. 2,000 of these? Alright, yeah. I use more speed potions than anything, which is why their numbers are lower. But yeah, all the time. Whenever you're opening any kind of chest, honestly, is going to have a potion drop potential. So yeah, you'll get lots and lots of potions. I don't recommend buying any potions out of the patron shop, quite frankly. I know CNE probably doesn't want me to say that, but yeah, they're just not, for as limited as patron currency is, they're just not really worth it. Gab 454, so I don't play D&D, but I'm obviously interested in games around it. I didn't play D&D until last year. So, yeah. Could you explain the difference between int and wisdom? What would be something that needs a roll on each one? So intelligence, I like to relate this to this analogy. Intelligence is like book learning, whereas wisdom is like general everyday experience learning. This is how I relate the two. Intelligence is usually a stat that you're using for wizards who study magic. It's based off, their intelligence and their ability to do things like that. And you're also making intelligence-based checks for like history, right? So this is like book learning and storing knowledge, right? Whereas wisdom is like your ability to perceive things, like a perception check, right? So, this is stuff that you kind of learn from experience. Yeah. So book smart versus street smart. Yeah. Tron's got the best at one. Yeah. Intelligence. A tomato is actually a fruit. If you didn't know that, it is. Wisdom. Tomatoes don't go in a fruit salad. Yeah. Right. There you go. Onyx Squared. When will cooking with Gaarawarr stream start? Not happening. I don't have the setup to do a cooking stream. Yeah, that would not go over well in this. I don't have the gear for that, and my kitchen is not set up to do that. J-Dog, is it a requirement at CNE that every stream contains some discussion of food beverage? No. It's just it happens. It happens every time. Charisma check. Tomato-based fruit salad is salsa. I mean, sort of. But I don't know. I don't know what else you'd want to put in there. Like if you're putting a tomato, like that's you're mixing fruits and vegetables usually, because you got like an onion, and some spices. Yeah, but you could sell it with a charisma check. You could probably sell that with a charisma check. Wicked One, is there any downside to spending over the warning limit? Yes, at the top end of blessings. If soft cap is within easy reach. Oh, well, no. Look, I still wouldn't do it. You still really only want to spend to the warning. You still really, in general, you only really want to spend to the warning. Because what you're doing is you're lowering your ability, you're lowering your gold find. And sure, you may be able to soft cap anyway, but that's not the point. The point is that's also then reducing the amount of gold and thus favor you get on subsequent runs, which slows down your ability to get all those blessings. So just don't do it. You're going to get there. You're going to get there faster if you just let the warning pop up and listen to it. Riffraff, been watching your Elturel run. If you have Artemis and Narak, what is the formation for Elturel? Ooh. Like Elturel's Last Stand? Like this, what I'm doing right now? I don't know that I would want... I wouldn't do that. Use Ashara. Or are you talking about like a variant where you can't use Ashara? You need... This is a DPS race. Fight. This is why this fight has never ended. This is why it's here. Did I say you could use Artemis and Narak? I don't know that I would want to do it, honestly. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let's go back. We've got some time. I don't know that I would want to, quite frankly. I don't know that made... If I said that, was I talking about... I feel like I was talking about something else, like stacking Orkira or something with Artemis and Narak. Oh, that's... Orkira stacking is a whole other thing. Yeah, that's not... Yeah, I'll take this off. You want to know how to Orkira stack. This is Orkira stacking. Oh, no, that's not. No. Boom. Who's missing? Why did I have Birdsong in this? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Probably because I didn't have Makos available. This is what an Orkira stack formation would look like. Because it's centered around Orkira, and I've got Archon next to Orkira, so that he's not getting the healing. And he can usurp it off everyone else, and then Artemis can observe it off him, and then Artemis is surrounded by as many magic attacker, or as many DPS as possible. And then I've got Olkoria in here, and I've got more magic-based stuff to trigger Olkoria. And then I've got Narak sitting between Olkoria and Orkira to maximize their stuff, and then this would get me a maximum stackage. Like here, let me level up here. And we'll watch how the healing triggers off. There we go. To usurp. There we go again. All right, that's gonna level up after a bit. But yeah, it's all about building a formation that utilizes each champion's abilities and trying to match them up the best way. Now, it would be better in a different formation, but in Avernus, this is the best I got. And then you manipulate like Baffage's buffs and things like here. Now I'm up to... Whereas with just Archon, I would only be getting EO6 heals. With Artemis and everything affecting him, I'm getting E15 heals. So this is how you get Orkira's numbers up super high through Orkira stacking. I thought you meant use Artemis with Narak as the DPS, and I was like, no, you wouldn't do that ever. No, captions stopped. Now they're back. Silly captions. Can you show how to use Bailoth correctly? I mean, Bailoth goes either in front of or behind your DPS. And not in the tank line. That's pretty much using Bailoth correctly. If you mean Jin stacking, not on this run. No. Because I don't think I could kill anybody off on this low level. Speaking of killing something off, we're going to finally kill Tiamat. Is there a way to have familiars automatically pull down on the field? Yes, you save them in your formation save. So you place them on the field like this, and then you... Hold on, let me get rid of this one because I don't want that one there. But then I go back over here, and when I save this Orkira farming formation, it also saves the familiars on the screen. right? So now when I go to load Orkira, it's going to save that. It's going to load in those champions. It's also going to load in the 16 familiars wherever I have placed them. So is an Orkira stacking formation good to finish? No, that's not. No. Orkira stacking is just to get her buff up. I'm just doing this because I've got a level 50 Tiamat and this formation can blow through it because they're leveled up so high. But no, you need an actual formation. That's Orkira stacking is something you do on level 1 after you've already pushed to level whatever, wherever your wall is. You come back, ideally after you've soft capped all your champions. You come back to level 1 and you Orkira stack because it's just based off. You're just trying to ramp up her healing. Now I'm at E15 healing. That means I have 15 stacks. That means my buff is now an E15 elemental fire debuff. That's all I'm doing. This is not a functional pushing formation. This is specifically built just to build up Orkira's healing stacks. And you just do it for a short amount of time to get as many of stacks out of it as you can, and then you stop and you go back to a pushing formation. RAR 303, is there a guide that explains gem farming? I can't seem to find one. No, because all it comes down to is you go to Mad Wizard, usually when you're starting, you put in however many speed champions you have, and then fill up the rest of your slots, and then you automate it with familiars and your core, your Modron core, and that's it. That's just gem farming. And then it just cycles and it does those levels over and over and over again. There's not a whole lot to it. So I don't know that I haven't written a guide. I mean, you can ask in the Discord. Maybe someone put one in resources. Maybe. Then you keep Orkira and change the rest of the formation. Right. Then you go back to a regular pushing formation that has Orkira in it. Old Man Master, were you able to complete a Sarax puzzle for Straw? No. I got to level 500 and I couldn't beat it. That's the final level. So I need one more champion. Because the issue is and preferably a healer or a shielder. Because the issue is there's just no survivability there, and you're taking damage to your whole party, and my party dies off. I even tried the self-healing thing with leveling up like X1, but I either need a shielder and a healer, or I just need another champion in there to do more damage, like to do more hits to everything. I need more damage and more survivability. Because you only get 5 champions in that right now. Hold on, folks. All right. Does the weekly tax on Jamek, does the weekly tax on legendary foraging only apply to new items? Does it also apply to upgrades? I don't know what tax is a reference to. I don't know what that means. Like a weekly tax, Jamek. What are you talking about? So if you can put that in chat. What's throwing me off is those two terms combined together. There is no tax on legendary foraging. When you forge a legendary item, the cost goes up, and then it slowly goes down over time. It's not a. I don't refer to that as a tax. That's just the way the cost system works. It doesn't apply just to new items. Oh, yeah. Well, okay. So when you forge an item, the forge costs are separate from upgrade costs. Those are two separate things. So yes, I guess it's just the phrasing here, the terminology you're using isn't accurate. So it threw me off. So does the increase cost on legendary forging only apply to new items, or does it also apply to upgrades? I mean, you can, when you forge an item, it costs an amount, and then the amount goes up. Like it cost, if you're starting off from scratch, it's 1,000, and then it goes to 2,000. So if you wanted to upgrade it, if you wanted to forge another legendary item, right away, it would cost 2,000. And then the cost goes up again. If you want to upgrade, there's a separate charge for upgrades. It is not the same way. It is, and it's static based off the level. It's my understanding is that's static based off the upgrade level you're at. So these are separate things. Separate things. That's why I will currently the most efficient way that people have figured out is to upgrade an item or to forge a legendary and then use almost all of your, and then you don't want to forge a new legendary until the cost drops below 1111. So then you take that legendary or another legendary and you upgrade it and spend your scales until all you have left is 1111 or more, so that you can upgrade the second you're able to, that cost drops below 1111, you can upgrade or you can forge a new item. So that's the current, and that takes about 6.5 days, something, I don't know. Yeah. So you don't just want to like for every increased cost legendary, like if you just forged 3 legendaries in a row, to get the cost back down below 1111, it's going to take 3 weeks, right? So it's you roughly just want to forge 1 item every 6 days. And then you just want to upgrade those items with your leftover scales. Oh, my voice. So that's why all of my items, like I have 4 legendary items and each of them's upgrade level 5. Because that's how it worked out that I could get them all to 5 with my leftover scales, while still having scales to forge a new item the second I'm able to. We got about 5 minutes left, so no more. Don't add any more questions in. Let's see if I can get through the last of these. Is there a better type of chest to open if you're aiming for potions? Supply chests, but you don't. Those are just, you can't go buy those. If you want a full range of potions, you should just be buying gold. You should just be buying gold chests. That's going to drop the full range of potions for you. Vovkus, question about trials. Let's say I get a shard blocked with a content restriction. Sure. Other the members also have same restrictions and we're screwed. No. Ashara isn't the only DPS in the game. Folks, stop using the Ashara. Stop thinking Ashara has to be the only thing you use. You have other DPS. But it would be very rare that all 5 players in your trials party would get the same restriction, because everyone has their own restrictions. It's all RNG. Everyone has a unique thing. So everyone wouldn't get Content Plus, but there's lots of other DPS out there for you to use. If you've only used Ashara DPS, you need to branch out. You need to learn how to use other DPS and find out how to make them work well. Like Krull. Krull plus anyone is better than Ashara with only 1 bond in most cases. Yeah. So. But I mean, yeah, you still put up whatever, you post whatever you can do. It's just Ashara currently with fully bonded Ashara is going to be the top DPS potentially that you can build out. Stop screwing up captions. But you have other DPS that you can use that are still going to get you. Are you going to lose like maybe 10 of your personal contribution DPS or even 20? Sure, but that's not that big of a deal. You get so much more based off just doing the daily requirements that not only does your team not going to carry you, you can still, as long as you can still do those daily goals, you'll contribute almost as much as everybody else. It's not a big deal. I've just collected my last speed champion. Which one do I focus on leveling their gear? Human and Briv are the 2 ones that should be your primary focus on item levels and gear. Would a cooking with Gaarawarr stream require a beard net? No, I think that's just if you're like in food service. Sfrenzy, I'm a new player. Love your new player guides progression. You say to prioritize Gem Hunter. Yeah. Is it worth it to drop significantly in favor in Sword Coast to get more gems overall in Step 2? No. Just keep pushing in Sword Coast at the beginning just to get enough favor to be able to buy that Gem Hunter Blessing before you bounce to Tomb of Annihilation. It shouldn't be that... It's not that much further. Like, just do some more of the basic adventures in Sword Coast that you'll want to do anyway, but just push them deep, and you'll have it pretty quickly. And then you can bounce to Tomb of Annihilation. J-Mick, would you advise getting all the blessings in a given campaign before using that campaign's favor in legendary upgrades? I don't think that's necessary, but you might want to. But I don't know that it's necessary, because if you got that favor already, you should be able to get it again, right? You should be powerful enough to get that favor again. And if you get a legendary on a pushing team, you should be able, if you get the right bonus, you should be able to get even more. Yeah, this one I already addressed. That's a big fat no. I'm running the Sunless Citadel quest and it has restrictions on characters. Yeah. Are there other non-variant quests with character restrictions? Maybe. But it tends to just be a variant thing. Variants and patrons. There might be. I don't remember. I did the Sunless Citadel stuff so long ago I don't remember. When do you unlock the Modron Core? As soon as you can. Your first goal, this is the last question. Your first goal in the game, once you start playing, in terms of acquiring champions, should be targeting an extra champion in every slot so that you can unlock, split the party, and get your first Modron Core. That's it. That's what you should be making your time gate decisions around, is getting that second champion in every slot. And then once you have 2 in every slot, then your decisions revolve around 3 in every slot. Then you mix that with just, guaranteed, in most cases, what slots at least 2 of the 3 champions in an event are going to be as they come up. So you build around that as part of your strategy, so that you can get your Modron Core as fast as possible. Because once you qualify for Split the Party, you can complete it, period. So that's going to be it, folks. That's all the questions for today. That was 60 questions. Along with all of our talk about Trials of Mount Tiamat. Stretch. I needed to stretch when I did my midterm break and I forgot. Streams. Oh, Monday. I'm like, what's coming up on Monday streams? Monday streams will be, of course, weekly patronage with Loring during the day. But Monday at 4 p.m., Idle Champions presents the Trials of Mount Tiamat. That's kind of what we were talking about today. They're going to kick that off on Monday. Join us. Watch it. It should be fun. Should be a good time. And then the rest of I don't know, they'll post their full schedule probably on Monday for the rest of the streams. Lately, some things have been canceled, like last minute. Who knows what's going to happen? And if you want to join me for more streams, I'll be streaming tomorrow on my channel, at noon Pacific. I don't know what we're going to be doing yet because I met all my milestone goals in my new player reference on my newer account. I've unlocked everything. I've unlocked all 4 patrons. I've unlocked Trials of Mount Tiamat. I unlocked all the evergreens. I don't know what else I'm doing on that account. Maybe just shelving it until the Icewind Dale champion drops. Maybe. We'll see. So join me tomorrow if you'd like. It'd be fun. Otherwise, we're out, and we're going to go out on, what other song could we go out on a Trials of Mount Tiamat tutorial show on? We're going to go out on You Could Be My Dragon Queen from Bardic Inspiration. And I will catch everyone tomorrow. Bye, everyone.